Now I've been watching a lot of videos on feminist frequency because, again, I have no problem with basic feminism. I have a major problem with radical feminism. I have no problems with women, girls needing empowerment, needing fair treatment, equal treatment where that applies. But much like the person who I want to introduce you guys all to, link will be down in the underbar to one of her videos entitled Why I'm Not a Feminist. Um, I think it tends to sum things up. If I have to label myself as a feminist, I would say I am a sex-positive feminist because I never knew such thing existed until several months ago when I actually discovered that such a thing existed, and I could be happy in that because there's feminism which does want equality, and then there's feminism that absolutely wants either revenge or exceptionalism. And neither of these are valid for one thing. I mean, I'm not saying that the treatment that men have done in the past to women, treating them no different than slaves, than property, than furniture, is not correct. But the way forward is not to say, well, we've been oppressed for X hundred years, so now it's your turn, guys. We're going to oppress you in the same ways you oppressed us. Uh, and we're basically going to do this for the X amount of time, and then we'll call it even. We'll call it equal, and then we can move forward. Yeah, because setting us back a few hundred years for misguided, stupid, patriarchal at times idealisms of our forefathers is the way to the future of this world. Not that many rad feminists have suggested this, but in general, I tend to have a problem with rad feminism because it's just basically, oh, you happen to be male with a penis. You are everything that is wrong with this world. Um, you need to accept your place as utility, as furniture, as basically something to be in the backdrop that we only need you when we need you, and when we don't need you, you have to just be gone and off because we have our things to do. We have a world to run. But again, this is radical feminism I'm talking about, not basic feminism and not sex negative feminism, but those do tend to get intermingled to the point to where people like Anita Sarkeesian then start to wonder why, or start to straw man, which is ironic given the ways that she talks about the straw feminists, that girls are scared away from feminism or the word feminism, not based on the merits of what is being presented out in the blogospheres, being presented out in the pockets of feministic groups out there at times, or on the YouTubes. No, no, no. They're scared away by the misrepresentation of feminism in film, television, and other forms of media. Excuse me, what? No, I'm sorry. No. There are women out there who see that porn, while still needing a little bit of work here and there in terms of working conditions and other things of this nature here, isn't bad. That porn does not equal rape bait or would make a normal man rape, because there are also women who watch porn. Oh, right. Porn is ineffective against turning women into rapists because women can't rape. Ah, silly me, silly Octavius. How could you forget that women are pure as the driven snow, that each and every problem in this world is all based off of men, and that the patriarchy not only exists but is the most powerful force on earth and is currently working on new and more horrific ways to oppress women. See, and again, Most of what I've said, while being to a small degree a cartoon exaggeration, which I'm willing to admit, because some radical feminists have a problem with sarcasm, have a problem with cartoonish exaggerations for things like comedies, and seem to have a fundamental dysfunction in telling reality from fantasy themselves while claiming that it's men who have this problem. That's why porn is so powerful, by the way. We see the fantasy and then we imagine that women are now our property. It's entitled us as men that women are our property and we can do with them whatever we want because they are not women. They are not humans who are capable of saying no. No, no, they're sex dolls. Because again, I would use the F doll term there, but I am not supposed to be cursing on this channel as much as humanly possible. These are things that I came to know, not just from my own family. My mom is a very big feminist, and for a while, some of her leanings, God bless her, are very radical. And I did not like them because growing up, I started to hate myself for being born the gender that I was. And that wasn't healthy. But that's not to say everything she ever did was completely wrong. She taught me that to look at both sides of the coin, even if that isn't actually what she entirely taught me. She built upon my inquiry, my skepticism, my wanting to research, and made me see that yes, women do still have problems, not as many as in the time of my mom, obviously, and the problems that she has had throughout her life due to, in some cases, actual misogyny by men. But not everything is as she has put it at times, and when I've seen those failings, it's caused me to do research on my own and see, holy crap, men get the book thrown at them for crimes that women get a slap on the wrist for, if even a slap. It's like a light tap in some cases. And there are women who are willing to stand up and say, oh, no, 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 you are not going to sentence me different because I should be sentenced no different than any man should, such as Susan B. Anthony, for instance. So where am I going with all of this? I tend to consider myself as well as a humanist. I wish, but I digress. As a humanist, because men have issues in certain areas that women do not, and women have certain issues in areas that men do not. And I like what this woman has to say, because here's what part of another reason why I am presenting her. Because if there's anything I've learned from Girl Writes What, it's that when it comes to issues that pertain to women and men, typically women who might say that men have issues too that need resolving get listened to. Whereas if a man says, even if he says, oh, women have issues that need taking care of, but men have issues too, they're generally ignored. Now, you would think that I'm overgeneralizing this, but in general, how many MRA-ish or humanist speakers tend to get major forums or tend to get videos shown in college courses as part of that college course speaking on these issues? Whereas if the same exact word-for-word message is coming from a woman, somehow it's lent credence. And it's not that I don't get that. In fact, I like that to a small degree, because if women can stand up for men's rights as much as stand up for women's rights, I think that's progress. I think that's great. Unfortunately, we got people like Anita Sarkeesian, Gail Dines, and many others who are basically doing the things I don't like. They're disingenuous. They suppress facts when they don't fit in with their worldview of things. In other words, when misandry is actually the root cause of a certain problem, they will suppress that information. And it's not just these figures that I've mentioned. Certain women's groups and women's shelters and other places are not willing to look at things like when female on male domestic violence occurs and not give them a safe harbor, and are willing to say, oh, well, if it's happening to the guy, he deserves it. Where have I heard that before? Oh, yes, I've heard it when misogynists use the same logic and the same ideals against when a woman has a legitimate problem that has happened to her. Oh, sorry, poor thing. You deserved it, though. If you hate it when misogynists do it, why do you like it when misandry, I can say this word, uh, happens? Oh, right, because everything is man's fault, and therefore there is no such thing as reverse sexism when it comes to men, such as when a woman is ogling David Beckham's underwear ads. That's perfectly fine. That's not objectification at all. But if a man dares to look at a poster of a Victoria's Secret model a little too long, all of his thoughts are sexually repressing women worldwide. We're turning them into sexual objects as if, at least on a base level, especially if it's not an opinion that's expressed verbally, that somehow anything that's happening inside me and everything that's happening inside me is wrong. I'm a sexual oppressor and repressor of women, and I should just live my life constantly beating on myself because I was born a man. Along comes WeisApple, user who I definitely want to promote. Link is down in the underbar, talking about the same things in many ways. Not word for word necessarily, but it doesn't need to be. I would think that if you don't like me saying it, maybe you'll like her saying it. Enjoy.